The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Welcome in, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends. This is Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I'm Samantha Jones.
And welcome to anybody that's listening, new, old. We appreciate it.
Yes, welcome. Welcome.
Yes. So here we are at episode 17, and it's what?
This is karma.
Oh.
Which is a great follow-up for reincarnation, because they really go together.
Pretty much.
Yeah, one wouldn't be the same without the other. So.
No, to me, karma is really the essence of why we're here.
Exactly.
Why anything is here.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting into this one because I was telling you there's not a lot of research that you can do on karma. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I can tell you the basics and we can do some polls, but for the most part, this is probably going to be a lot of stories.
It is. And like many things, it's a concept.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it rings true.
Yep.
And I can see it more and more, not even in my own life, but others around me.
Yes, very much.
So, all right. Well, before we do that, shall we recap last week's reincarnation?
Yes.
Cool.
We got a good response to that. It was...
yeah, it was.
Yes, it was wonderful. We did have one question, and that was... You talked very briefly about the levels on the other side and moving up in those levels. Can you explain a little more about what you mean? So this is really your your department. You're really good at explaining about this.
What I've been reading and what I've read, there's levels. So when you pass away, and I don't want to say pass away. When you transition to the other side, and Samantha can vouch for this in her work as a medium, a psychic, is that she sometimes can't connect with somebody right away.
Yes.
When they first pass, right? And that's because you're kind of in what they would call, well, we'll just say level 1.
Yeah.
And that is kind of a waiting area, sort of, until it's a resting area.
Yes.
And you just kind of rest there until someone comes to get you and lead you to wherever. Although you're never alone. There's others around you and you have family that let you know you're in the right place.
Yes.
And everything's okay. So then you would have like level 2, which, according to what I've read in some of these regression sessions, is that would be in what our human minds would be heaven.
Right.
But it's not really heaven. I think it's where you can you get to learn a lot more of the magic of what's going on there. Yeah. Like you can materialize a home if you want a home. You can float around. You can look like a person. You can look like an orb. Whatever you want.
Yeah, you can see whatever you want, go wherever you want.
So the amount of levels, I'm not real sure, because in some of these sessions, some say there's 4 or more, 6 or more, 10 or more. I don't know.
Right.
Do any of us know? The ultimate level is where the creator is, the ultimate energy, God. And that's nirvana. That it truly is heaven. And the reason for reincarnation is to get there.
Right.
So you have to come back, and you're exactly right about how these 2 episodes are totally linked.
Totally linked.
You have to come back not as many times as God says. You're your own judge and jury. You intuitively, because all of us are an extension of God, so he personalized us by giving us a soul. But he knew when he did that, that was going to create karma, both good and bad in the universe. So now you have this option to come back and to deal with that karma.
Right.
That is the reason for reincarnation.
Exactly.
That is the reason that we're all here. So
it's amazing. It's this little cycle that never really thought about before.
Again, and that's like, so there's levels. So, I mean, you're working. It's not like you're sweating and busting rocks with a sledgehammer out in the hot sun.
Right.
You're working on your soul and eventually working to help other mortals and your soul family on Earth. So that's essentially the levels, what happens.
Well, thank you for explaining that. You do a much better job of that than me.
No problem.
But there was something I want to talk about this subject just for one more minute, the subject of reincarnation, because I was reading something today that I thought was very interesting. Mm-hmm. And that is that there's been studies done on babies when they're asleep, infants. And during the REM cycle, that's when we dream.
Right.
Well, these babies, they have the activity, so they're dreaming. But in order to dream, most people believe you're working off of memories or something.
Right.
But this kind of proves that wrong because babies don't have those memories.
Or they're dreaming about memories from another life.
Right, exactly.
Or there's also, which they explain in this, is that babies, kind of when we talked about that silver cord that's attached, and that when this hypnotherapy happens, that all these people are sharing that you're always attached to that. So when you go under the hypnosis, when you're dreaming, you go to the other side.
Right.
But you're connected to this silver cord.
Yeah.
Babies are connected to it. And the reason that babies sleep a lot is because they're gone a lot.
Right.
And they're gone not only dealing with their soul family and kind of getting advised on the life ahead.
Right.
Every day we do that, every evening when we sleep. And we're still getting advised on how to deal with our karma. And we can wake up and decide to completely ignore it or try to tap into that.
That's definitely a different way to look at it than the article that I was reading, because the article I was reading was like they're going into past lives. So, which is another way to look at it. But I really like what you were saying on it too, your point of view on it.
Well, I mean, if you're going to the other side and sort of reviewing and being advised, maybe they're showing you past lives so you can go into this life learning or trying to correct the karma that you've created.
Right. Yep.
Everything and everybody has created this energy.
Absolutely.
So until we all get like kind of with one with God, we're going to be coming back, and many of us, many times to correct that.
Well, let's talk about how you correct it.
Yes.
Shall we? In episode 17, Karma.
Ooh.
Karma.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. What is the definition of karma? It is the spiritual principle of cause and effect where intent and actions of an individual, which is the cause, influence the future of the individual, which is the effect.
Okay.
So it's a cycle, cause and effect. So I asked our listeners how many of them believe in karma. Do you want to take a guess what the number was?
73%.
It was 100%. Believe in karma.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't realize that it was something, I mean, you hear people say it all the time, like, oh, you're going to get your karma or instant karma.
Yeah.
Or,
what comes around goes around.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, these are things.
Yeah. People throw it
these
around
are things
all
that
the
have been
time.
in society for so long, and maybe there's a reason why.
Right.
Those kind of statements.
I think, we say those things without even really thinking what it means when we say them.
True.
It's just like, I don't know, you say, oh, karma's a bitch, right? It's going to get you back. But do you really think about what you're saying on the deep level?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
I would say a lot of people don't.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't.
I didn't for a long time.
Either, yeah.
And it was a term I would use.
Yes.
Still do.
Yeah, I've always used it. Always.
It's funny because I started in that sort of belief.
Right.
And then I sort of wandered to other things and ended up back there.
Right.
Back here. Same.
I guess I just never realized how big of a picture karma plays in our lives. Because the way people throw it around like that, it's like maybe it's a little thing, but it's not. Right. Karma is the center of it all.
Yep.
Yeah.
In those weird moments, where you can't explain, like certain things happen and
right.
And if you really look at it, they all look like little fragmented pieces, like a jigsaw puzzle. But when put together, they actually show you a picture.
They really do. Yeah. It's interesting, too, because karma is actually mentioned in the Bible.
Yeah.
But it's a Hindu and Buddhist belief. But in the Bible, it says, let's see, it's in the book of Galatians. It says, "Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." That's karma.
That's karma.
Yep. It may not say the exact words,
it's a
but
word,
that's exactly
but
what it is.
same meaning.
Yeah, exactly. So, baby, we should talk a little bit about what karma means to us, what we believe it to be, instead of just what the definition says it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
I'll let you go.
Well, karma can also seems to have this. The first idea I think many people have is that it's a bad thing.
Yes.
That
I
karma
agree.
is something that gonna come back and bite you in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
That phrase puts it in a negative connotation.
It does. That's
So,
a good point.
Unfair to karma itself. Because, as I said earlier, when God created all this, he knew he was creating karma along with it.
Right.
Because, especially with us, as humans on Earth, we have free will.
Yes.
Free will can create a lot of really good karma and a lot of really bad karma.
Yes.
I would say this planet probably tends to produce a lot more negative karma than many other worlds.
Yeah.
So, and it's a universal thing.
Right. It is.
Like what we're
for sure.
doing is going out
Mhm.
into the universe.
Right.
Into the very, fabric that makes us up, kind of.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there that people forget that just the word karma, it doesn't just mean the bad, but when you do good, you get good. When you do bad, you get bad. So it's both sides. Karma gets you back if you do bad. It gets you back if you do good.
Right.
But it does it. It's positive and negative.
Even some people would say that's a Buddhist idea.
Yeah. Well,
is that the essence of karma really is to be kind, to be honest,
right.
to be loving, compassionate, and understanding. I could be missing some other things. But what I get from it is be a good human.
Right.
Don't be a jerk.
Yes.
That's what I get. That's the dummies version of it for me.
I totally agree with that. It is. It's taken me a long time to get to this point in my life where I see it on this deep of a level that I think about it every day. I think about, is what I'm doing right now, is that putting good out? Am I going to get good back from it? And you know what? I'm not looking, honestly, to get good back from things that I do.
Right.
I'm not doing it to get back. But I do avoid doing bad things because I don't want the bad karma. I'm trying to work off the bad karma,
No,
I don't want more.
I think if you're giving, let's say,
Yeah.
if you're giving whatever in hopes of getting back,
Right.
then you're not really, I don't think you're really creating negative karma, but I don't think you're really creating any karma.
You're not getting anything.
If you're giving to give back,
Right.
then you're putting out the karma.
Right.
And those are the times you will see the rewards.
That's absolutely right. Because I've met people like that in my life that are like, well, I give to this and I hold the door open for people or whatever, but why are you doing it? Are you doing it because you're expecting something in return for it?
Right.
And a lot of times that is what it seems like. Right. And karma knows wherever this comes from, comes from the source. You can't fool karma.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a society that everybody's out for theirs.
Yes.
Everybody wants a piece of the pie. Yeah. Not saying that there's not a lot of people in this world that are super giving and doing great things, and hooray for you. Thank you to those people. And I couldn't even tell you who everybody is, but if you're out there and you're listening and you do good things for people, good for you. Do that. continue to
doing
do
it.
that. It's kind of like that movie, Pay It Forward. It's about karma, you know? And so when you're giving back just to give back,
right,
you will receive, but don't worry about that.
Right. It shouldn't be the forefront. If it's the forefront, then it won't bring you that good karma back. It is a very important aspect of it that I think a lot of people forget.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make you a bad person. You're not going to get bad karma, like you said. It's just, you don't get that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So let's see. Then I asked our listeners if they believe that karma can be carried over from a previous life. And 82% of the people that took this poll believe that it can.
I agree.
Yes, I do too. And, you know, it's not something, we talked about that in the last episode in reincarnation, about how you don't know that you've lived these lives.
Right.
So you don't know what your karma, the karma that you're working off in this life.
Right.
It's kind of like a part of the test, really.
Yeah.
That you have to try and figure out these things, these lessons that you have to learn.
There could be things that you're scared of.
Yes.
There could be things that you're not even interested in.
True.
These are all lessons, and they're signs, and they're hidden for our brains, which are much larger than how we're using them.
Right.
Are supposed to be figuring out, and you can tap into these. You can actually ask for that, you know, and get those kind of signs, and they'll come in different ways. Whether you're reading a book about something and a particular line in a paragraph jumps out at you, or it's a song about something, or something just triggered, you know, your mind.
Right.
It's a deja vu kind of thing. Like, what the heck? This is familiar, but I've never been here before.
Yeah.
So
I think it's important to point out that you do pay off karma in this life as well. It's not like you don't and you go to the next one and it's all there. If you learn those lessons in this life, then you don't have to learn them again. And that really is like the ultimate goal, is to learn all the lessons.
Unless you lived like Christ, you're going to have lessons to learn that are going to carry over, because you're not going to learn them all. That's why we have to live so many lives, or we have the option to live so many lives.
This kind of comes back to what we were talking about earlier with the levels. And what you're doing when you're learning these lessons is you're moving up in levels. So you're getting closer to the source.
Yep.
But it is totally up to you as a soul whether you even do that.
Right. You can stay down at the bottom level.
Absolutely. So you don't have to do any of this, really. You could just be a lazy soul and never incarnate if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But this is the ultimate goal, is to learn all the lessons and climb these levels to the source, basically.
Yeah, because there's places on the other side that are actually like libraries, like temples for wisdom, of knowledge,
healing,
both past, present, future, healing, libraries to study. And you could learn a lot there and never reincarnate. But to be a complete soul and to get closer to the source, like you're saying, to God, that you don't have to, but you make yourself do it.
Right.
Because you want to be close to that, because
Right.
you can feel the energy already. You know it's amazing. Everybody around you's in awe of it.
Yep.
So I think the majority of the people might be moving at different paces, but they're all working.
Right. It's very much up to you. You know, it's up to your pace, but
You have eternity.
you do. But I think that for me, I have learned that I want to learn as much as I can in this life. I
Yes.
want to try and
Me too.
so that when I move on, that's behind me. And I don't know, obviously, what all of the lessons are that I'm supposed to learn. And I'll tell you that there are some things along this spiritual awakening path that I never would have thought would have been things that I needed to learn.
Right.
Things about myself that I do that aren't really the greatest things, you know, not necessarily like they're bad things, but just things inside myself that I needed to work on and fix. And I never would have thought of that as a lesson.
Self-esteem can be one of your biggest lessons.
It can. I have a real big problem with like standing up for myself.
Yep.
And that is definitely a lesson that I know that I have to learn here. And I haven't yet. And I'm hoping that I will.
Yep.
It's just hard. It's not like you can just be like, okay, I recognize that this is a problem and a lesson, so I'm just going to fix it.
Right.
Like that. It doesn't work. You have to, it
Right.
takes time, you know?
But everybody has the capability to change their situation at some point.
Yes.
I mean, obviously you have an infant that needs to get a little bit older to realize and start logically understanding that. But everybody at some point has the opportunity to change.
Right.
And to start dealing with some of that karma.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so then let's see. I asked if our listeners have been in a situation that they feel was karma coming back, whether good or bad. And 87% said that they have. I'm surprised that not everybody, especially since 100% of the listeners said that they did believe in karma.
Right.
It's like, I can think of so many times in my life that it's come back. Even instant karma,
Right.
you know, you're maybe laughing at somebody and you shouldn't be laughing at them, and then you run into a pole or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yep.
I'm at the point now where I'm like, I don't want to do anything bad. I don't want to lie. I don't want
Right.
to do anything because I don't want any of that negative karma. I worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, but we're not perfect.
No, we're
you know?
not.
So, yeah, you're still going to be human at some point. But no, that's very true, I think. I can't tell you after the spiritual awakening, for me, how much I could see the things in my life now and sort of, I've always felt compelled for the shitty things I've done to try to make restitution.
Right.
I don't know why. Some people don't have that feeling. They don't have guilt or remorse for things that they do.
Right.
I'm the opposite. I tend to feel a lot of it.
Yeah, me too.
And so I want to face it. I want to apologize. Does that eliminate it? No, but I think that's working on your karma.
Absolutely. I agree.
You know, it's changing the energy. And even if the other person isn't receptive to an apology or, you know, reaching out, that doesn't matter. I don't think. I think because your intention is pure.
Yes.
And you're still sending out that positive karma, that positive energy.
I agree with that completely. If you're trying to do what you can do to change that, then you can't change the way somebody else feels, but you've learned your lesson. And that brings up another point, is that something about karma, we all have like cycles and patterns in our lives, okay? So we have things that like we've repeated. Something happens, we think we've learned our lesson, we're not going to do it again,
Right.
and we do it again.
And you find yourself back there.
Right back there, right?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Those are like the karmic cycles.
And that's within the same life.
Exactly. Well, and I really think we probably all have those. I think for me, one of my big karmic lessons and cycles like that is that I've always been in relationships since I was very young. I started dating really, really young and always felt like I needed a man by my side. It was like I couldn't be alone. I see now, looking back at my childhood, why, and also my mother's cycle that I kind of carried on. Mm-hmm. But I always told myself when I would get out of a relationship, I'm not going to get right back into another one. I'm not going to do that. And I did.
Right.
Every time until after my divorce. And I dated a little, and it just, I realized that when you go through a divorce like that, you need some time to figure out who you are.
Right.
And I really think that that was the lesson that I had to learn with that, was that it's okay to be by yourself for a while. And you know what? It was more than okay. It was life-changing.
Right.
Because I really learned who I was.
Yeah.
So in this breaking of the cycle, I really learned so much. And I took a couple of years to be single and just, you know, I dated a little bit. There was a time that I was like, nope, not doing it at all.
Right.
And that was like the best growth experience.
Right.
I tell people after they go through a divorce, that that's an important thing to do. But I think for me that broke a cycle. And I learned a karmic lesson. I learned something that whether it was carried on from another life or it was just a lesson that I needed to learn, I think I did.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of thing, especially breaking cycles, I think is huge for karma. And one example could be if you grew up in an abusive home, you know, like that, or another situation is deciding, hey, when I grow up, I'm not going to repeat these particular behaviors, you know, as best as I can.
Right. Absolutely. I don't want to get that karma.
Learning from it, you know, what was given to you. And we all essentially really are a product of our environment.
Oh, yes.
So many of us do the same things we saw our parents do.
Yes.
Even if they're bad, a lot of people repeat them. And
absolutely.
And a lot of people repeat the good.
Yes.
So I have just always been the type to look at the people I admired in life and just kind of pick and choose from the things that they had to offer as people and as souls, and implement that and kind of build my soul, you know, like feed my soul with the good things that I saw in those people.
That's a smart way to
But facing something like that and breaking the cycle is really, really huge.
It's tough, man. It really is. Like, I think a part of the reason why a lot of people don't want to do these things is because it seems like it's a lot of work, which it is. I mean, you have to learn a whole new way of life when you make that kind of a life change, but it's good for you.
Yeah.
Change is inevitable. It happens to everybody. You know, you might as well just go with it.
It really, I mean, people go, well, how can I work on this?
Right.
Like, how can I change my karma or affect it? Well, it starts from the minute that you wake up in the morning, and what are the thoughts that you flood your mind, and what do you do with those thoughts?
Yes.
And it's really about, I think the more that we can live selflessly instead of selfishly,
Yes.
The more that humanity is going to be closer to this. And I think it was definitely something that was much more like acceptable in the past.
Right.
One of these books, that, as a matter of fact, that I'm reading is a regression, and this lady goes into a past life of a mistress of Al Capone is one of her lives, and then she goes into a life during the Civil War, and she's married to a gentleman that goes away to war. But during one of her births at the beginning, they put it during this period, and this is like in the United States, they would put a thin veil over the baby's face.
Wow.
And that was summoning spirits to give the child gifts to be psychic.
Wow. Oh, that's
so it was
really
much
cool.
more accepted in society, and this was a kind of a ceremony they did with it. So
I've never heard about that.
Yeah, it was. I meant to tell you that earlier, and I forgot that.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, you brought up a couple of really good things there that like sparked my memory on things I wanted to talk about, because I saw this, what was it? It was a GIF, and it was the way that you look at things basically. And it was wind blowing, and it was two women, like little cartoon women, right? And one of them, her hair was blowing and covering her face. And the other one was turned the other way, and the wind was blowing her hair away, and she was happy. But the thing is that they were both facing, one was facing the wind and one was facing away from the wind.
Right.
So that just shows you how the same situation can be looked at entirely different, and you can change your mindset.
Your perception.
You can change your perception on anything at any time. It's not, it doesn't have to be this huge thing.
Right.
It's just small things like that, looking at something and taking it and thinking the opposite, or thinking, we all think those negative thoughts. So changing them, putting them into a more positive way. We've done this a little bit lately, as I've said even to you, like, okay, let's take that sentence and instead of saying the way that we are, let's change it into a positive.
Right.
And it does it helps you to change that perception, which in turn makes you really a happier person, and happier people do good karma and get good karma.
I think one of the best ways to wrap my head around it too is that, science has proved through technology and study now that brain waves are actually sent out. That they can test them in the air. Like, I can't remember what that article was, but I saw it. And when you think about it, every thought and emotion has energy.
Yes.
Every thought and emotion. Right. So when you're feeling like you're trapped in this body in this bubble and nobody knows what's going on and it's all internal, it's not.
Right.
It's not.
That's very true.
It's exuding from you.
It is.
And this can be as easily noticeable as somebody going, "Are you all right? You don't look okay.
Yeah.
You're upset." You know what I mean? That's energy. I don't care if you see a physical expression on your face. Right. I think you could probably know somebody that you love dearly that had their back to you, and just by their stance and their energy, you could tell something's not okay.
Yeah, it's funny because we've gotten to the point where some days we'll be like, "What's wrong with you? Your energy is totally off." Because you can feel it. Right. Especially when you're a couple and you're close like that. It's like, if there's anything that's even slightly off at this point, I'm like,
Yeah.
What
it's like, meh, 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 meh. And warning.
Right. And the thing is that if I don't acknowledge it, like if I can feel that your energy is bad like that, and I don't acknowledge it, I will absorb it instead. Right. And it will make me, whatever it is that you're feeling, I mean, obviously not the same reasons, because if I don't know what you're feeling, but it has those same emotions. Right. It's the weirdest thing. That's also being an empath. But yeah, that energy there's more control to it than people even realize. You have this control over your own energy, and it is hard. We've been working on this a lot. Yeah. And even, we still have really bad days sometimes, like yesterday I was like, I don't know what is wrong with me, but I could not pull myself out of that funk for anything. There was just nothing I could do. And we have days like that. And those are the days that I'm just like, okay, well, no karma is going to get taken care of today.
I always notice too that I don't know if this is just me, but it's easier for me to see others' karma. Yeah. In a lot of ways. And I think the reason for that is so that I can learn.
That's very true. Yeah.
From that. Because you can't see your own life sometimes totally objectively because you're on the inside. Right. But when you can look from the outside inside somebody else and see their situation, you can see I can also see how it plays out in my life. But usually I see it in the kind of aftermath. Right. As where when I look at somebody else, sometimes I can see the beginning, the middle, and the after. Right. I don't know how to really put that into words. Yeah. No, but I really think that it's because, we're letting you see other people's more than your own because you're supposed to pay attention. Exactly. And learn from that. Exactly. So you were saying something about, the energy, and I can't even remember what it was, but maybe I'll think of it. You can, I'll catch up to that thought, but I had something I wanted to say and I forgot.
It's funny you were just talking about this, and I started thinking about how, they always say that kids learn from adults, which is very true. Mm-hmm. But adults also learn a lot from kids, and it goes with animals too. It's like Sabbath, for example, we're not going to talk about the bad habits that he had. Yeah, but he had a really bad habit, and we brought Zuma home, and he had that same really bad habit.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about? Patrol?
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah. But once Sabbath saw Zuma doing it, he was like, "Oh no, that's gross." And I know that doesn't have anything to do with karma, But you can apply that to things like what you were saying about how you see other people's karma. You can learn from other people's karma too, and what they do, so you don't make the same mistakes that they do.
You could look at most people, or a lot of people might look at like a 3-year-old and go, what could I possibly learn from them?
A lot.
You know what? That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
After doing art in Marina's, I used to volunteer 1 day a week in my daughter's classes all throughout elementary school. So that was 6 years.
Yeah.
And I would just teach art in her classes, relatively simplistic stuff. And I think maybe my thought process was that, and there were said days when they're really all hyped up.
Right.
It's like Halloween and they're all hyped up on candy and you're like, yeah. But, you know what? After
Halloween.
Every year, I was just like, man, I've learned so much from each and got kind of close to these kids and got to know them. And I was like, as you kind of look back retrospectively, could I pinpoint all the things? No, but I know in my soul I learned something from them.
And you know what? It takes a big person to admit that too, because a lot of people want to just be like, I don't, whatever. I didn't learn anything from that. I taught them, but we learn so much, and it takes an open-minded person to see even,
I mean, I love kids, so it wasn't, but when you have 30 of them and, they're
it's
going
tough,
crazy and it's either a substitute or the teacher's like in the back grading papers and the floor is yours. But no, it was always a great time and sometimes a test, definitely.
Oh yeah.
But everything in this life is a test.
It is. And more than most people even realize. These things that are put in front of us, a lot of times, like the temptations,
right? Those
are lessons.
Yeah.
They really are. And if what you do with them is what happens with your karma.
Yep.
But I also think that learning from our karma, we can help others to maybe not have to go through the same things as well. So looking at it from the other side,
right?
Like if you, I don't know, let's say that you had an affair, right? And you have a friend that's considering having that affair, then you talk to them and explain to them why they shouldn't do this. I really feel like something like that, you're helping your own karma to try and change that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I think about that a lot, like because I have a good friend that I've made through this spiritual awakening that I feel like I'm a mother to her. And she goes through a lot of things that I went through. And so I can tell her, whoa, wait, stop.
Yeah.
Like she was a little bit nervous. She had her back went out,
Yeah.
And she was like, I think I'm going to go to urgent care for my back. And I'm like, honey, you go to urgent care for your back for a little backache, and all they're going to do is give you Vicodin and maybe a steroid shot. Yeah. But these, again, may not seem like big things, but when you help people with those types of things, it changes. It really does. It helps your karma, and it helps them so that maybe they don't experience some of the things you did.
Absolutely. I think we're here to learn and teach each other.
Absolutely. I think we all, no matter what. I mean, I've learned the most in my life from animals.
Yeah.
It's not even people, because animals look at things entirely different than we do. And if we looked at things how they do, it would be really different. Our world would be really, really different.
And the interesting too about this as well is that within your soul family, there's this karma that's played out within your own soul family. So you're actually coming back and facing each other under different circumstances, different lifestyles, different people.
Yes.
It's a whole new game. It's literally like a play that you've basically written out, and now everybody agrees to come here and to play it out and try to stick to their agreement, and you have free will and you can change that at any time.
Right.
So, but the idea is to come back here and work off the karma that you didn't the previous time or times.
Right. Exactly.
So I definitely feel like it's weird. Like now I see some of these lessons, it's so weird how I've done things and then boom, slap across the face.
Right.
Same thing's done to me.
Right.
And it's like, whoa.
It's so weird how that happens too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I said this in the last episode, that things that I've done in my life, I really would prefer to just take it while I'm here instead of having to take it on to the next life. And it is hard. I feel like at this point, I've done the bad things that I've done in my life up to this point. I feel like I have paid my restitutions for and learned my lessons and served my karma, so to speak.
Right.
So my plan from here on out is not to have to do that anymore. Not that I can live a perfect life, but I see things much differently now.
That's the point I was going to say is, for me, my plan from here on out is to always work on this karma and always work on my perception.
Right.
Because with that, and faith.
Right.
Because something that was explained to me is hope is great, but hope is just a word. It doesn't put any energy out there.
Right.
Faith puts out energy.
Yes.
So
and
you
believe.
want something, you do good things, manifest those things that you want, be specific, ask for them, and put in the footwork and put out that good energy, that good karma, and you will receive it. The trick here, and this is for all of us, is you don't give up.
That's a tough
before,
one. Right.
Because probably so many more people in this world would have been successful, stars, well-known, wealthy, happy, if they didn't give up.
Right. I think a lot of people think that it's easier to just give up. And I see people every day that I feel like they think it's easier to be mean to people than to just be a good person. I don't understand why it's so hard to be a good person. For me, it's a lot more work to be angry and bitter, and your body feels better. Everything feels better when you release those things and you surrender and just try to,
When you're walking down the street or on a hiking path and you see somebody and you acknowledge them, that's putting out good karma.
It is.
When you hold the door open for somebody or smile, it's good karma. It might be, so you don't have $100 that you can go donate or lend a friend. That's okay.
Right.
Do something nice. Even if it's that thought, like I'm going to think about this person and send them, positive thoughts and love. And, even if it's 30 seconds, that is karma. It's getting out of our selfishness into selflessness.
Even when it comes to people that we may not necessarily get along with, even sending them good vibes and good intentions is better than being negative and going along the same way, because we don't know what kind of help that energy may even be sending to them.
Right.
You know, maybe it helps, because sometimes people can't help the way that they act, and they maybe need help to get out of it, get their karma better.
I totally agree. I think that's one of the biggest lessons for us as humans is somebody that's done you wrong, to not wish the same thing upon them.
And it's hard sometimes.
That is probably one of the biggest tests of karma.
It is. It is. I don't wish bad on anybody, Honestly, if I could even wish people that don't maybe agree with our lifestyle or my abilities, I still send them peace and love, because that's good karma. That's being a good person. That's what I want to be.
It's not just what you get back from it too. It is, if you're doing it in a pure way and not expecting anything back, but you feel better.
Yes.
Because really, ultimately, hate takes a lot of energy.
It does.
Not even hate, dislike, negativity takes a lot of energy. It takes more energy to be negative than it does to be positive.
I absolutely agree with you.
So
the last question that I asked our listeners is if they think that they know a karmic lesson that they may have been reincarnated to learn. And 56% said that they do, that they believe that they know. And we were kind of talking about this a little bit ago. I think I do. Not everything, but I do think that there are things that maybe in previous lives that I am here to learn now. And I question sometimes, like we had talked about abuse and things like that. Like I had a pretty bad childhood.
Right.
I mean, it was good and bad, but there were some really bad parts. Whose karma was that? Was that my karma? Did I have to take that because of something that I did in a previous life? Or was that somebody else's issue? Do you know what I mean?
I think
That's
it's all
something I think about.
intertwined.
Yeah.
I think that as much as what's going on in your life is tied into your mother's, your father's, the people around you and your soul family, it's all intertwined. So there's karma within, there's your karma within their karma and their karma within your karma.
But it's also what you do with it too.
Absolutely.
Because like in a situation where maybe you have an abusive childhood, you can choose what you want to do with that.
Yeah.
You can repeat that behavior or you can help somebody with that behavior. And for me, that's what I've chosen to do. I've chosen to take the things that happened to me as a child and help people as much as I can that have experienced the same kinds of things or going through them. And that's passing on that good karma. That's helping you to, if that was something for me that I have to learn from a previous life, I think I've done that.
Yeah.
Karma's,
it takes effort, but it's, you can't unring the bell.
Right.
So don't live in the past and dwell about the things that you did that were wrong or bad.
Right.
The difference is, do you recognize it?
Yes.
That's where the learning and the knowledge comes in, and that's where your heart, the pureness of where you're coming from is more real.
That's a very good point.
I think that's probably for me a big one to focus on is not wishing those things upon people that have done me wrong, recognizing the repeated mistakes that I've made in my life that are obviously lessons I've been put here to learn.
Yes.
And will I recognize at the end the right and the wrong?
I think so. Yeah.
So, but I definitely feel like, for sure, I have been put here to relearn lessons, and some of them are picking relationships that are similar to other relationships.
Right.
And then I wonder how similar are those to relationships in my other lives.
Right.
That's a big one for me.
Yeah.
Not doing people wrong in certain ways in general, know.
Well, and you made a good point, is that just because you've done wrong in your past, that doesn't mean that that's who you are in the future. You can change that.
You.
No, people may get stuck in that image that they have of you, but it doesn't matter because people change over time and you grow, and it's what you do with it. Some people don't. Some people choose to stay in the same miserable patterns they've always been in.
Right.
But some people like us that have had spiritual awakenings or have worked hard to build their lives and things like that, sky's the limit, really. You know?
The awakening has made me want to put out positive energy.
I want everybody to feel this.
I'm not going to say that, I was hoping, but even during this process, I've learned that it's not about exactly, what the Bible says in a positive sense, like reaping what you sow.
Right.
I'm not sowing it just to get back good. I'm sowing it to learn something from it.
Absolutely.
And maybe sometimes it takes those moments, those bad things, because if I didn't have them, I wouldn't learn.
That's exactly right.
The difference between right and wrong. So,
yeah, we all look at it as a struggle, that it's so much work to have to learn these lessons. But what else is life about? We're not just put here to just do nothing and work and that's it. There's purpose. There's purpose to all of this. And this is,
and it will continue,
part of it. Yep.
When we move to the next platform, the learning will always continue. And that part, kind of what we were talking about last week, like, I don't want to come back and learn.
Right.
But then I start to realize, wow, well, I know in this life, I sure don't want to live. And the thought of dying is a bummer.
Yeah.
But I'm like, wow, I get to come back and do it all again.
Right.
I could come back and do it as many times as I want.
Right.
So the more that I wrap my head around this, now, I think the easier it gets.
Right.
But I could choose to revert as well, you know?
And absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
It's all free will, too.
It is. It's what you do with it.
But I think collectively that if this world could consciously start focusing on this, we would see a huge change.
I agree.
A humongous change.
And you know what? I love to give these challenges to our audience. I'm going to challenge you to go out and spread some good karma. Not because of what you think you're going to get back, but just because it'll make you feel better. Like you'll see the change in yourself, and it'll also help somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about spiritual change. I'm talking about geographical, like the world. You'll see the world change.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But people. It's up to us, man. It's totally up to us.
It is. Yeah.
And I'm going to do my best to do my part from here on out, you know, and
yeah, me too.
Nobody's perfect. And, again, you wouldn't learn if you were. So.
Right. Exactly right. You have to make mistakes to learn.
Well, is that the last question?
That's it.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add on that one?
I don't think so. What about you?
No, I think that was a good one.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pretzel warper a little bit when you think about karma, and it's like oxygen. It's there, but you can't see it, but it's there. And if you look close enough, you'll see how it's affecting you
and there's
the ones around you.
So many different ways to use it too. Like, I mean, we've showed it today in so many different aspects of what karma can be.
Right.
You know, it's just like a pretzel.
It is. But stay open-minded to it, and the concept and the whole idea just begins to come to you.
Yep.
Because once you open, then they're then allowed to feed you that.
Right. And
that information.
I could almost guarantee people that if you started using this more in your life, using this way of living, your life would improve.
Right.
It has no choice. Do you know what I mean?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
And what's like a study says 21 days to, you know, break
a habit,
break or create a habit.
Yeah.
And so if you spent 21 days, I've made this suggestion because I've kind of tried it myself. And that was, I just put a Post-it next to the nightstand. So when I wake up in the morning, I would just see like 2 simple words that were something positive, like gratitude, love, compassion. And those would be the first things that I would see instead of grabbing my phone. I'd put it right on top. And this way, that would be the way I start my day.
That's very smart.
And you just keep doing that for 21 days, or maybe it's less, maybe it's more. But you will start to change the way you think.
You will.
You know? Yeah, you'll catch yourself wanting to go back to your ego and your pride, and then putting out that negative energy. And it doesn't matter about what happened a minute ago, a year ago, 10 years ago. It's about right here, right now. Yep. So if you catch yourself, you can start over right then and there.
Yes.
So
wonderful point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, would you like to maybe give a pluggy before we say adios?
Let's do it.
Cool.
So if you would like to follow us on social media, we are on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So Facebook and Instagram, you can find us at Spiritual Joneses, and Twitter is at Spiritual Jones. We also have a YouTube, so you can listen to us on YouTube, which is kind of cool.
Oh.
Yeah, and that is also Spiritual Joneses.
No videos.
No videos.
You don't want to see my mug.
It's one of the things that makes this easy for me.
Yeah.
Is that there isn't a camera in here because, no, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't even use my telephone.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. And then if you would like to get a reading from me or talk to me more, you can find me on the web at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if you like art, I do art. DJonesArtCollection.com on the web, and Facebook at DJonesArtCollection, and Instagram is hashtag GJonesArtCollection.
It gets so
we need
repetitive.
like one of those sample recordings at the end. That's our little disclaimer.
Here's the same
the
stuff
guy that
you heard
speaks
last
a mile a minute really fast. But that's my art. Just put up a Selena one last week, and I'm working on a new one already.
Yes.
And I'm excited to share that. And if you like music, check out Gypsy Brown, gypsybrown.com, Brown with an E. And you can find us on the web, Facebook, and Instagram as well.
Hey.
So that's it for us, and we're just cracking away. We had our second rehearsal with Milo, which is just it's like really jaw dropping. I walk out of there like, oh my god,
it's good. I can't wait for people to hear it.
I can't either.
I know all the songs and I get to hear them, but nobody else does. I feel privileged.
We'll be sharing it soon.
Yeah.
So, but that's all I got.
That's all I got too.
Cool.
So
we want to thank everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us again.
We appreciate you tuning in and giving us an hour of your ear.
Yes, we do. We
always
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I had fun.
did too.
But we hope you have a great week.
Yeah.
And until next week, peace and love.